So for today's episode, I've actually made the thumbnail before I've even started recording. And that's because I've got an amazing idea for a contraption that revolves entirely around cactus. What's cool about this is that it can be passively farmed, which we've actually already done this season. Up here in this beautiful little storage area, we have tons and tons of cactus. And nearby there is a dark and gloomy box that is our cactus farm. But I have a trick up my sleeve when it comes to the cheaty free cam. If I drop out like this, it's like using our camera account with night vision. So here you can see we've got a cactus farm and we've got plenty of space nearby to scale this up. And it's right next door to a location in our base that we are yet to expand. And last episode I teased that I have a project here and it involves this cactus and it involves furnaces. Because yes, I am yet to build a smeltery this far into the season. It's about time we did this. But the question is how, and it starts with the composter block. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put cactus in the top here. It's going to go into the composter, and it'll take a while, but it'll create bone meal. So it has a 50% chance of creating a layer, and if we look at the right hand side of the screen, you'll see that there's 7 layers in total. So every 14 cactus farmed, on average, will be 1 piece of bone meal. So now you might just see where I'm going with this. Let's attach a lever, let's put some bamboo in front, and let's grow some fuel. Lots and lots of fuel. And then we'd need to chop it down too and get more bamboo. And then the bamboo becomes our fuel. So you've got it right, cactus is going to fuel our furnaces. And so I want you to leave a comment down below. Was the thumbnail enticing? Did it give you an idea of what was coming your way? Please do give me some feedback because I've really been enjoying making my Hermitcraft thumbnails lately. Yeah, for this part of the season I've tried to come up with a little bit of a new look for them. But anyway, let's talk about this contraption here. So what you are looking at here is what we could possibly call the first iteration of a contraption to do this. We've got dirt down the bottom, we're growing bamboo, and there's a system back here to detect that and push this block out and pull it back in again. That's kind of important because I didn't want these bamboo blocks to land on top of the bamboo itself, but as you might have just noticed, it lands down here on the dirt anyway. Also, the redstone's pretty cool. It only activates when you run out of bamboo, so when this part in here fills up as it just did, it means that this thing will stay on, so it'll stop creating more bamboo until you run out here, and then it starts to make some more. And originally at the back here, this redstone was different. I had it set up like this, but for some reason when this observer got pulled backwards into this position, it didn't activate this piece of redstone above. So I bumped heads with Cybot again, who's been an immense help with the redstone, and they pointed out that there's another block we should be using here. And it is one that we have built a farm for already, that is the mud block. So it has a special property. It's not actually a full block, yet you can plant plants on top of it. So we can grow this, we can break this stuff, and if it lands directly on top of the mud, as I will now demonstrate, the hopper down below can then pick it up. And because of that, we were able to create this right here behind me. It is somewhat compacted and simplified. The principle works the same again. When you're out of bamboo here, the contraption activates. It grows lots of bamboo, it falls down onto the mud block and fills up the hopper again. The trick is we just need to supply it with bone meal. So these hoppers right here can run in a chain across multiple modules and it can get picked up by this one that for some reason has bamboo in and it can feed it into this dispenser. And it also seems like the chamber up top needs to be higher. This does have one flaw though. Look at that, they can actually end up on top of the bamboo. And that's something that didn't actually happen with this design here, so maybe I need like one final modification. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, as we're going to have a minecart go over top and it can drop 2 items into a furnace each time. But it is possible that the way I've set up the redstone here, I mean we would need to make an adjustment on this spot, but it could be tileable. And if that is so, then this contraption will go to the next level. In terms of not taking up as much space, I guess. You see, I quite like the idea of this not being tileable because so many things are. But now that I've tiled it, it's actually fantastic. And also notice the water here kind of disappears because of the glass pane in front of it. Strange rendering stuff. But anyway, this thing can basically do away with a stack going across, distributing 2 items at a time because the water slows down the minecart. Then it comes back across and finishes off the entire stack. And then in the background, you just start to see this thing activate eventually. Yeah, so then a bunch of pistons start firing as you need the fuel. Now this is animated, which looks amazing. However, discovered a flaw. Some pistons just fire over and over again. This is because the items tend to get distributed left to right as the piston gets in the way of falling directly down. So you end up with a few that just fire over and over again. And what they're doing is they're filling up the hoppers of their neighbors, but not their own. And we can somewhat fix this by changing that to a block so that it will fire 3 at once. Just like that. Oh, and immediately it stops because it fixed it. I did, however, prepare an alternative design, but in order to fix this, you'd want to stand around here so you can actually see the bamboo in action. When you go down to furnace level, you can't quite see it as much. And so I've decided against using this, but if you want to know how it works, we've got an extra row of hoppers, but what they do is they point back and forth into each other. So when one of these pistons is dropping bamboo on its neighbor, it's also feeding itself. Anyways, it's time to build this thing, and we're going to do it Hermitcraft style, which means go big or go home. And I, my friends, have spent a lot of time gathering some resources, going AFK at my farms, because I've run out of redstone. Look at the amount of blocks we've got right here. They are all in stacks for a reason. It's because we're going to make our array an entire stack wide. And it just so happens I've got a really interesting distribution system planned for this as well, but I'll show you that later. Right now, I want to focus on this walkway a little bit. There's a glowberry there because I wanted, you know, some light. And in the other direction of this little intersection, we've actually got a ways to get to some of the redstone around the back. I feel like we just hide redstone away so much, and maybe it's nice to have a little pathway down here to explore it and, you know, see all the wonders of our storage system. Now this space right here is absolutely massive. I'm going to use the free cam just to show you. I've sort of dug it as far back as we need to go, and it's, yeah, going to be a really large room. I also plan on decorating it like we've done here, but with a new accent that we're going to throw, which will be some greenery to match the bamboo. But you might just notice there's this big wall here, and there's a reason it's there. It's because on the other side, the whole area is flooded, and it's going to be a pain to get rid of this water. The reason being that at some point this season, I lost my stack of sponges. So I'm going to have to clear out the water the old school way, and I was thinking I might need to take a trip to the desert to get some sand that I can drop into the water, but in here we have tons of gravel. Look at this. This has just been naturally collected over the course of the season. There's just a stupid amount of gravel down here. But of course that makes a lot of sense when you remember that we're in a mountain and that we spent some time digging out an entire rib cage that I never used. This is just not a part of the base anymore. So I guess now I've got a fun old grind awaiting me before we can actually start to build the contraption. So it'll be a while before I hit record here again, so in the meantime I'm going to bring you up to speed on what's been happening with the trading card game. And to be frank, I've done a terrible job of keeping track of the games that I've played. I thought I had them all saved on my hard drive, but it's turned out that's not so. So I have played a few games. Basically I've been trounced most of the time. I think I won 1 of 4 or 5 games. So somewhere in here, we will see, that I've got some tokens to be spent. You'll also notice in my deck here, I have way more than 42 cards, and that's because Cleo was very charitable and gave me a whole bunch of extra cards to help me build a deck. And so basically I've just been playing with a starter deck, and everyone else is building up these really interesting decks to play with. So what we got to do is just get our hands on more cards at this point. And that's of course why we're over here at Beef's store again, which is just absolutely beautiful. I love being here, and this time it's a little more exciting because I'm buying some packs. Now what I want to do is get the booster packs. Everyone tells me these are the best, but I think I'll have a little bit of fun. I'll also get a Hermit specific pack for free, and then over here there's an effect pack for free as well. So that means 1 Hermit pack, then 2 booster packs. What's going to happen to the tune if I spam this thing? Oh, we got double music going on. Actually, sounded kind of cool, didn't it? And then once more for the effect pack. And of course, I will graciously deposit all of my tokens right here. And what do I see in here? A good one, netherite armor. I absolutely love the way that these bundles get opened. You right click on them and they just get chucked out right in front of you. Look at all of those cards. So I've sorted out all of my cards. I get to thumb through these and figure out a new strategy. But my biggest problem is probably the item cards. I can only really do redstone and farm type. I guess I could do terraform too. So yeah, I hope I'll be able to bump into another hermit and do some trading.
Mr. Void!
Oh God!
Hello?
Oh dear Lord, there's voices in my head.
Come outside. I don't know how to get where you are.
What's going on, guys?
Well, I mean, you mentioned something about you
Need some
wanted
cars.
some trades, possibly.
Oh, you guys coming over here to trade with me. My inventory is
Hey.
disgusting. Should we drop down onto the grass, away
Let's
from
do
all of
that.
the snow? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a rare beef, that rare Ren dog. I don't think I have one of those yet. I guess
Okay.
in Ren dog's
So
place.
that's the trade. That Ren dog for those.
Yes. Yeah.
X, I'll trade you the 3 terraform cards, item cards for that speedrunner double, and I'll throw in a Scar terraform common.
Let's see what else you got going with your. Oh my God! Look at this. Look at this. Just.
Oh my god.
How many games have you played?
I think about 30 or
lot.
so.
A
Look
lot.
at this in here. There we go. There we go. For
That's a
the
trade.
double speedrunner.
That's a trade.
Sweet. Cheers.
Happy doing business with you. So now, my friends, I actually have the means to make an interesting looking deck. And I'm not entirely sure how to best balance the effects, items and hermit cards, but I have this Impulse Farm and this Scar Common, and down here you'll see that I have more of them, so I can put a couple extra hermits into the deck, but you'll notice there is synergy here between Terraform and Farm. We have Corralis's Rare, which can heal AFK hermits, Gemini Slay, which means we can use an additional effect card, Tango's Extra Flee for swapping AFK hermits on both sides, and Joe Hills' Time Skip, which can skip an opponent's turn. And eventually we'd want to replace these commons with rares too. So after that point, I just stack together what seems to be my best cards, and from here, as we get more and more cards, we would obviously stack the better ones so that we have 3 of each. TNT's a good one, I got 2 of those, the Diamond Sword is decent, the Compost is really good, so we've already got a few of the very powerful ones. So I just need to keep playing games and getting my hands on more cards, but there you go, we've built our own deck. So wish me luck in my next game, and next episode I'll be reporting back with the results. Well, with all of that taken care of, we're now back at the base, and I have something to show you, which is a giant empty box of a room. Ooh, it's going to be a massive project we're building here. And you'll never guess what I found when I was just looking at the storage system that we have here. This rogue furnace, right? Why did I leave that behind? Well, that's where my sponges are. I found them. We can rejoice. Just like that, the whole thing was built. Yeah, it was kind of nice that everything was a stack, because I could just go all the way from one end to the other, placing one block, then come back with another type. And you might have noticed there was some glowstone placed up the top here. That was to provide light to the bamboo so it could grow, although we are going to grow it, of course, on demand with bone meal. But then I realised it's going to mess with the light level of the ceiling. As you can see, it's all kind of like dark down here. And I guess in the daytime it'll be lit up over this spot though. Wouldn't it be great if like tinted glass could be used with beacons so that they wouldn't emit light and you could just, you know, stop the sunlight from coming in here? That would be very cool, but sadly it is not so. Also, you might notice up the top here we're missing the waterlogged rails and glass panes in front of it. That's because we're actually no longer going to waterlog this, which is why I built it to a stack. So one item is going to go into every hopper when the hopper minecart passes over the top. And that means that we can smelt a stack on demand one at a time. Oh yeah, and there's this neat row of torches at the back so that the light level up the top here is good enough and nothing's going to spawn in this dark area. So what about those beacon beams, hey? Now the area is kind of secluded with a little more darkness. I installed some redstone. There's now a lever here. If we flick it, opens up the beacon beams, right? So we just block them up the top there with some redstone. So if I decide I don't want those today, I can just hit the switch and block them off. Oh yes, so now you'll see that I've started to get to work on this bit here. it feeds into the hopper chain for the bone meal. So this is where we actually convert our cactus into bone meal. And as you'll see here, our cactus farm has been expanded around on this side. So we've over doubled the amount of cactus we're producing. But I'm probably going to have to keep expanding this over and over again to get a constant stream of cactus coming through. And I'm not sure we've actually filled up all of our storage here yet. Yeah, you can see I've been up the top there digging around, making some adjustments. And again with the camera, you can see where the water streams adjoin and then go over the top of the hoppers, come around the corner all the way across to be dropped down into this little bit that we've designed. And speaking of design, this room is like very orange against the red and brown, and I want a lot more greenery in this one. Because obviously we've got the bamboo, which is green, and then the glass too. So the idea is to let this copper age up the top here. And also you might notice that there's like this ledge, and I thought it would be cool if we had some comparators sort of turning on. But you can't really see them from down here. However, if we lower them by 1 block, then when the bone meal comes into the hopper down below, we'll sort of see it whiz across, which might be a cool little effect. And so this is just a cool way for our base to maybe feel a little bit more animated and alive with things like happening. Again though, you can't really see the lights, or maybe you can. We should really do a test. There is actually like 1 extra conversion around the corner, so let's go ahead and just chuck it in there. And oh, you can just about see them. That's good. And if it turned out that we needed more composters, then there's some space back here. We could probably reconfigure these water streams and add more into this space if ever needed. So to get this thing fully up and running, I think I'm gonna have to go raid some of my bone meal supplies just to fill it up to begin with. And then we got to build the minecart loading system. I don't have a lot of space, but I'm hoping we can just kind of plop it down here so you can interact with it and send the minecart into the system. And while I work on all that, it's probably not a bad time to show you the redstone, because I've got an amusing story with this one. So the idea is that we want to put exactly a stack of whatever material we want to smelt in at a time. This will be on a timed system though that can detect when this chest is empty. So you can see like a minecart's gone across and done its thing, and if we open this up you can see that it fills up with a stack. But on occasion it does something very strange. Did you see it? It fills up with another hopper minecart. But it turns out, after speaking to Cybot, that that's actually the one over here that survives. Notice how it's going to disappear as the hopper minecart approaches. So yeah, that got me absolutely miffed, and I spent like an hour redoing the redstone over and over again. Probably means I could actually compact this again and make it a little smarter, but the idea is really great. You just put in a bunch of materials and it keeps sending out minecarts. And of course they're filled with a stack, that's why we're no longer using water up the top here, so every furnace will get 1 item, and then down at the end we'll have like an unloading system that then sends the minecart all the way back. I say unloading, all it's got to do is just break the hopper minecart and bring it all the way back to the beginning. So when this thing is empty, it stops working as well because of the way I've designed the redstone. And look, even if you just put in like a couple of items, it'll just run. It'll do that, and then the system will stop. I do think though it creates like an empty minecart again. No, it doesn't. It's sufficient. It's good. It's ready to be built. But unfortunately, it didn't actually fit into the base here. It was a little too big and bulky and kind of pushed its way out to the front here. So this is a redesign that I've worked on. And when it comes to the aesthetic, everything here is kind of a work in progress, but I like this idea of having regular copper at the front, the oxidized stuff at the back. We might even extend that all the way over down the end. But it was an absolute squeeze to redesign this circuit so it would fit into this area. Like, this is as compact as I could make it. You can see it goes back into the wall a little bit. And if we swing around here, like, literally just blocks between that contraption and this one. And look, there's just a tiny amount of space here to have some observers pointing at these droppers. They will be part of a dropper elevator to bring the hopper minecarts back to that chest that feeds into the dispenser. It's this one here that's nice and easy to access that we put our items in to be smelted. And as I mentioned earlier, down the end there, we need to make a system for popping off the hopper minecarts and bringing them all the way back. So all of that should be possible. But the thing is, I'm all redstoned out for today, and we still need to fill this contraption up with bone meal. It's gonna take absolutely ages to do. But fortunately for me, I have the help of another hermit. You see, our buddy Corrales is being an absolute champ over here at our farming area. Look at this, he's just offering his AFK services so that the farm down below can run. Yeah, look at that, we're going to be getting plenty of bones from here as well as an unreasonable amount of zombies. And so now the question is there something I could also be doing to help get more bones? And if you cast your memory back to early in the season, we do actually have another source of bone meal. And it's been a while since I've been over here, but there should be a nether portal just on the other side of this. It's not that one, it's somewhere down here. I believe it's that one right there. Let's hop down and see if it still connects. Ah, yes, I had forgotten about this project. So we have a skeleton spawner over here and the means to use our looting sword. I am going to do some AFK clicking and make sure we can get all the bones we can. Then hopefully in the next episode, we will be filling up that smelter and firing it up. But for now, it is simply a waiting game. I have done all that I can, so thank you for watching this one. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with another one. Take care, bye bye.